Magic has always played a really important role in my life. Even as a kid, I loved magic tricks, but it was in high school that I started getting really into it. It all began because my best friend Forrest showed up to school one day with a deck of cards, and he started doing tricks and wowing all the people in our class. I thought it was so cool, and it wasn't long before Forrest gained a reputation throughout our school for his magic tricks. And I mean, he and I were always hanging out, so I'd see him do these tricks over and over and over again, and after a while I started to understand how the tricks worked. So eventually Forrest was like, okay, let me show you how to handle a deck of cards, and then you can start doing these tricks yourself. And that was kind of the beginning of my magical journey. Forrest taught me a lot of the fundamentals of card magic, and he really sparked the passion that I have for this craft. He and I would just perform together whenever we got the chance. We would never leave the house without a deck of cards in our pocket. And there are so many stories that I have from this period of time. I hope I get the chance to tell some of them on this channel eventually. But for now, the point I'm trying to make is that by the time I graduated high school and moved up here to Seattle, my identity as a magician was a big part of how I saw myself. So I started marketing myself as a magician. And I also started working at casino-themed parties as a blackjack dealer. These parties used all play money, so it was the perfect environment to just sneak in some magic tricks between hands of blackjack. So I'd been performing magic part-time for quite a while in Seattle before I met anyone else in the local magic community. But that all changed one day when I saw two other magicians performing on the street in downtown Seattle, and I stopped to watch their show and talk to them afterwards. As it would turn out, one of those magicians would go on to become another one of my best friends and my business partner at Rainworks. But again, I'll tell you that story another time. Today, let's stay focused on magic. Those two magicians who I met on the street that day invited me to my first magic jam sesh, where local magicians would meet up, hang out, and talk about magic. We'd help each other develop new tricks or improve existing ones, and it was within that community that I found my people. So now I'm just friends with a ton of magicians, which is awesome. I haven't performed magic very much recently. I stopped working the casino gigs a few years ago, and I kind of veered away from pursuing magic as a career even before that. But I still have a very deep love and appreciation for the art of magic, which leads me to today's guest, Nash Fung, who is one of the friends I made within the magic community, and somebody who managed to build a successful career out of his passion for magic.
I love this routine. It was just terrific.
Over the years, I would see Nash at magic jam sessions, or sometimes we would even end up getting booked at the same events. And he was always so cool and friendly and supportive of the younger up-and-coming magicians like myself. Not to mention, he makes some of the best magic in the Seattle area.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So I thought Nash would be the perfect person to invite over for a conversation on the topic of magic. Enjoy this look behind the curtain into the life of a magician. And we are rolling. So Nash, thank you so much for coming and joining me for this, man. It's great to see you after such a long time.
It's been a minute, man. Yeah, what's up?
Way too long,
I know.
honestly.
Yeah.
For those watching, I'm sitting here with Nash Fung, professional magician, keynote speaker, and friend. So basically I thought it'd be fun to do an episode on magic, and I was like, who better to talk to than the man himself. So to give our viewers some context, we first met, I actually looked this up. We've been Facebook friends for almost a decade now.
What?
Over 9 years.
Okay.
It
All
blew
right.
my mind, honestly. It made me feel
snap.
old.
Okay. Wow. I didn't know it's been 10 years.
I know.
12?
Insane.
What was it? Hey, but back to you. Yeah.
A long time ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it blew my mind. But back when I was more active about doing magic and stuff, I'd be doing part-time magic gigs or working at the casino parties where I'd go around and do magic. And occasionally we'd end up at the same parties together. I remember it was always fun. Like we'd kind of figure out, okay, what are you doing? What am I doing? Let's make sure we're not doing the same stuff for anyone.
Yep. I remember.
And then we started doing like our magic meetups and hanging out in that sort of context. One of my favorite magic memories was when you pulled Perry and I in to help with your gorilla.
Oh,
Gorilla.
mine's. Yes.
so much fun.
Yes. You guys have amazing eyes. That's why I have y'all as the executive producer, basically. Y'all the one to make sure all the moving parts.
That was such a fun time, such a fun project, and it came out really good too.
Yeah, dude, it was fun. Yeah.
So I want to get into basically your whole journey with magic.
Ooh, okay.
So if we can just start, first question is just, could you talk a little bit about your background and how you got into magic?
Okay, cool. So this is a story that I always tell, because it's true. That's why I tell it, right? Okay. What camera's right there? Am I right? Oh no, camera's right.
Big one's close up. Yep.
Oh, I was way up. Okay. So born and raised in Hong Kong. Yes, and I think since I was a kid, I've always been like a puzzle a lover. I love puzzles. So I think the first time that I really see magic is either at my father's company party or at the mall, the shopping mall. There was a guy who sells magic kits, right? And I remember I'll just go back there and he would demonstrate those magic kit magic, I would go back to there again, day after day. It's super fascinating for me, right? And then I remember I wanted to impress a girl in 5th grade.
Of course,
you know what I mean? So I finally asked parents to get the magic kit for me, and I bought the magic kit. I practiced all day and night, and then at the performance, I asked if anybody want to volunteer, and some kid in the back waved his hand enthusiastically, right? But unbeknownst to me, the reason why he was so enthusiastic to help out was because he had the exact same magic kit I bought. So he knows my secret, and we were 5th graders. So you can kind of guess what else he did. He just like busted me on the spot on every trick. It was the most humiliating moment in my life ever performing.
But you stuck with it.
I did not. Actually, I did not. Believe it or not, no, I didn't. I actually stopped doing magic for 4 or 5 years. And the reason why I got back into it was because I moved to America when I was 14 years old. And that was the year when David Blaine has his first street magic special. And I was hooked, So, and I think a lot of it, as I tell people, is because I think a lot of it came from like being like the insecurity of being an immigrant. I've always felt like I need to do something extra for people to accept who I am. So I always felt like magic was my way, and that's what got me back into magic. Yeah.
So when you when we met, when you were doing magic, it was kind of at the point where, for me, I was like, I love magic. I want to do as much of it as I can, but I was only getting like a couple gigs a year, really. And then like the casino gigs, I was able to do it somewhat regularly at those, but it wasn't like dedicated magic. It was like, I got to sneak in a little bit of magic.
Okay.
So like in the magic community, the way I always kind of like broke it up in my head was there was like the hobbyists,
Okay.
who like loved magic, but never performed in front of people. And then there were like the hobbyists who like performed for free in front of their friends, but didn't ever like try to like make it a career. And then there were like people like me who I considered like the part-timers, where like we were kind of trying to make it work, but it was definitely like we had a main gig, a main job that was like the main income provider. And then like in my head, at least, I always kind of categorized you from when we met as like more of the full-timer. Like you were like taking it to the next level, and you were actually like making this thing happen to a further extent than I was able to ever pull off myself. But I know that can look different from the outside than the inside. So I'm curious from your perspective, and there's always ebbs and flows. Business is good sometimes, it slows down other times. So I'm curious from your perspective, what was the transition like between being interested in magic and then actually turning it into a career?
Oh man, that is a long answer for you, my man. I have to go back way back, probably 2004, but right before I graduated from college, right? Believe it or not, when I first got out of college, again due to like local magician connections, right? I know, do you know Tobias? Tobias Pesha? Oh man, honestly, by far till today, one of the best watch steal he's magnificent stealing watches. Like I bow to him for that, honestly.
That's a tough one to get good at.
Yo, he's so good though. Oh my goodness, it's insane. Yeah, but he was working a couple of restaurants doing magic, right? So right out of college, he hooked me up with one of his restaurants. That has a guy, the owner, opened a new restaurant in Stanwood, yeah. And yeah, I got in and I did like $80 for 4 hours of magic, just hopping from table to table to table. That was so fun, right? And then I tried to get more restaurant gigs on that. So yeah, at that time I still was not making a lot of money. So fortunately, my family is well off enough that can kind of live in a house, not pay rent to kind of survive, Yeah. But at the same time, however, I actually was pursuing to get into a master degree in psychology. So I was kind of in between moments still, like want to go back to school, but in the meantime, I can do some part time to try to see how magic is like, right? And that didn't last. Like making $80 a night is not going to be sustainable, But through that though, you do learn something very fast, and is that you will see a lot of repeat patrons in the restaurant weekly, and weekly I have to come up with new magic or learn new magic for them. So that was one of the best training ground I have received to learn what as you know, right? There are people who does magic, who learn magic, but they never perform it. And the way magicians appreciate magic and people who don't know magic are totally different. They like things differently. So from that point, it was a great training ground to learn what the audience really like, right?
Yeah.
And I think your question was, how was the transition like, right? So it's a long stomach going through the whole genealogy. Obviously at that time I wasn't making enough money, so I would have to have another job. So I was a part-timer. You have a different job. My different job is actually take a wild guess. Take a wild guess. What was my job?
What was your job?
What would I be doing besides doing magic?
It's so hard to even picture because my whole context for you is magic, so it's so hard to even imagine you doing something else. I don't know, like taming lions or something.
Dude, oh man!
I just imagine you doing something else really cool.
I said something before we got into this room that might give you a hint actually.
Oh.
If you remember, you probably don't. No, but I'm going to the gym after this. I'm going to work out.
Oh, were you a trainer?
I actually was a trainer, yeah.
Oh.
I was not very good, to be honest with you. I don't know why people so bad. Okay, so I was a trainer.
Oh,
because I love working out. I was actually applying to just having a receptionist, a front desk job, because they pay for your gym membership. I was just gonna be like there, sit there, and they're like, hey, you do magic, you must be good sales, right? So I'm like, I don't know, am I? So they put me in a program to learn how to be a trainer, and I was a trainer for like 3 months, but I'm absolutely horrible at it, because my passion wasn't in it.
yeah.
That's the biggest thing. So and that was a tipping point of 3 months of just being miserable. I was just like lying to myself, lying to people basically, and this is not what I want to do,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make ends meet. So that was a decision that was like, you know what, I either go all in, or I am going to be doing something different. And that was right around the same time. I feel like, was it the same time? Well, I didn't get into grad school. I did not get into graduate school. That's why I had to make a decision to either jump all into magic, which is something I know I'm the best at.
It was a sign from the universe.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, my friend. Yeah.
So from that point on, were you pretty much just like going for it, like just putting all your energy into that?
Yeah.
Once that happened, wow.
Yeah. I got a couple of people who helped me in the beginning too. Robert Stevens, you met, I think.
Yeah, I've met Robert.
Yeah, Robert and Ruben Barone and Brian Cook. I'm not sure you remember Brian Cook or not.
I know Brian as well.
Yeah, so Brian, there you go. Yeah, Brian and Master Payne, all them. Yeah, so a lot of people, really helped me tremendously in the beginning.
Yeah, so that was something else I wanted to ask about, was like nowadays it seems like kids just learn magic on YouTube. I was wondering how you pretty much like learned. Like mostly what I learned in magic, I learned from other people. I mean, I have a big pile of books and I have a big stack of DVDs, but most of the stuff that I really use, I learned from other people.
Okay.
It just sinks in differently with me. I'm curious what your learning magic process is like.
In the very, very beginning, I was self-taught. In the beginning, And this is aging myself now. Oh my goodness. I obviously my parents wasn't necessarily like supportive. They wouldn't say no, but they also wouldn't be like, here's $100, go spend it on magic books or whatever. You know what I'm saying, right? So I had to actually save lunch money and secretly buy some magic instructional VHS. Booyah! VHS, my friend. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. So I remember the first one I got was, for magicians out there, Darwin Ortiz.
Yeah.
I think it's called Card Shark. I think that was volume 2, not volume 1 and volume 2. I don't know why I jumped into that. That's how I got into it, and that's how I learned. And obviously, because another thing I say, right, because I didn't have a lot of resources like YouTube, I had to actually spend time to study a trick for a long time before I saved enough lunch money to buy another book. So that actually helped.
Yeah.
That actually helps so much more because you actually get to really play with the trick, really master it first. And it makes you more creative because you have to now create new ways to present it because you have no resources, so.
Magic is really one of those things where like the limitations that you work within like really end up defining your show in a lot of ways. Like that's how I always felt as someone who was making magic on a budget. Like that's why I was drawn to things like a deck of cards or a Sharpie or rubber bands, like stuff that I could get for $1.
Yeah.
And then get any amount of value out of it. So, which kind of is a good transition into my next question, which is like something a lot of people struggle with, creative people who are lucky enough to do something that they're passionate about for a living. Yeah. It's like there's that tension between like, this is something I'm passionate about and I want to do all the time, but also this is work. And so like with magic, that was something I kind of struggled with, where like one of the things I loved about magic from the beginning is like I say a lot, like magic's like love. You can give it out infinitely and never run out of it, Okay. But then I did notice that like the more I was trying to like turn that into a career for myself, when I was really like at my peak of like, having a website and trying to push and market myself in that, there was a part of me too that was like, I have to value my skill set. Like, should I be giving this out for free? Like, and it was kind of a weird balance, especially with magicians, where I feel like, compared to any other job, like if you meet a magician, people tend to be like, oh, show me a magic trick, like with a doctor, you're not like, oh, give me a checkup. But with a magician, people are always like, oh, you do magic, huh? Let's prove it, So how do you keep that balance, and has doing magic as a career affected your passion for it in any way?
Honestly, no, it didn't. It didn't have a negative impact. If anything, it creates a more motivation. Because this is what I do to support my family. That means I have to always improve. It actually makes me dive into magic more and study more and create more actually. So everybody's different. Like, I mean, yeah, I honestly, I know what you say, right? There are like creative people where they just love to do it because they love it. But the moment they start charging money for it, it kind of feels different about it, right?
Yeah.
I never did. Maybe I'm a simple person. I
think that's a good thing. I think it means that something's right. I think that when you feel that way, it means that it's a good place for you to be in.
Yeah.
I think that's a good sign.
Yeah. I should, yeah. I mean, if I can do something I love and I get paid for it, I'm extra motivated. So, yeah.
Yeah. How did you first get in touch with kind of the magic community, Robert, Master Payne, all those guys? How did you first kind of get networked?
Man. How did that happen? That's a good question. Oh, that's dating way back when I was still in college. Let me try to think. I think yes. Okay, I remember now. Oh, this is gonna sound so nerdy. Oh my goodness. Oh god. Oh my goodness. All right. So back in the days, there is a website that I don't even remember what the name is, where you can upload your magic videos. Right? You can upload. You do magic in. And from that website, that's when I met Tobias, the guy I told you about, Tobias Pasha, yeah. And we talked, and he told me that, hey, there is a Seattle backroom session that happened every Saturday. At that point, I was still going to school in Central Washington University, CWU, what's up, in Allensburg, which is about a 2-hour drive from Seattle. So every other weekend, I would drive back to this back room, which is Tom Frank old magic shop near the First Avenue, I believe. Not Pike Place Market, but oh my goodness, I'm losing my mind. Pioneer Square. Boom, there you go.
Oh.
Pioneer Square. Yep, it was there, and they have a backroom session, and we got some pretty heavy hitters there. Jack Carpenter was there, and Steve Mayhew and Steve Dobson was there, and they would have lectures. I mean, these names probably people watching the show, the shoot right now, like, what are you talking about?
That's how deep they are
into man. Exactly, but let's just say those are legends, people. Those are legendary magicians. So that's how I got in, through just random kid posting magic video on a website, meeting other people. That's how it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
So, all right, I'll ask you. Everyone knows who's ever done magic that a big part of it is learning how to work around all the mess ups.
Oh,
And like we've all had like experiences where you have everything plotted out and then the show just goes off the rails and something happens out of left field. I'm curious if you have any particularly memorable shows that went off the rails or experiences. They didn't have to be full on shows.
The whole show that just went derailed. Nah, I mean, you it's rare that you messed up every trick in the show. it's rare.
It is, but you're lucky if you haven't had that. I had a show when I was first starting. It was one of my first like public shows. And I was doing it with 2 other magician friends.
Okay.
We didn't have a lot of experience, and it was everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. We just weren't like we'd been our experience at that point doing magic was like in a very specific context of like around friends in a classroom.
Okay.
Suddenly we're doing it in front of this big crowd with all these angles we didn't know about, and kids sitting on the ground, they're seeing under the cards. We have people shouting out, "Wait, his card's over there! You just did that!" Like the whole show, one thing after another. It was pretty bad.
That's hilarious. I kind of want to learn more about that story now. Is there something for now or for later? You can tell me later. Or
yeah, I mean, it was just a mess. The funniest part about it was we thought we were being ironic, but it was kind of a prophecy. We decided to open the show using the final countdown, like Job and everything. Like, oh, it'll be a gag. I think it jinxed the whole show.
Oh man. Okay. Okay.
Okay. On the flip side, there are other times when you have a trick and then it ends up going even better than you expected. Like sometimes an audience member like convinces themselves like, "Oh wait, I saw that card and it was something different." And you're like, "It wasn't," but they thought that themselves. You know? So do you have any times off the top of your head where that's happened, where a show became or a trick became even grander than you expected?
That happens all the time, honestly. People's memories are very interesting when it comes to remembering magic trick, right? But let's go back to your story, right? How if I had messed up ever happened? Yeah, sometimes I messed up. You just have to like be quick on your feet, and because the beautiful thing about magic is they don't know how it's supposed to end, so you can kind of have a leeway to play around with it. Unlike a song, if you mess up a song, and then hey, that note wasn't right. Like people can tell, you know.
Yeah.
But sometimes, oh man, one of the worst messed up. I happened. Goodness. Twice. It's just my personal carelessness. It's a trick where I predict which person will sit in which chair of their choosing, and I have just been doing it for 10, 11 years. You know. I just kind of like, okay, this is where it goes. And I just forgot to double check the order of the chair. So, and that's the finale. That's the last trick of the show. There's no other way around. The last thing that I do, and the order was wrong. And so I guessed wrong. And when that happened, all you can do is laugh about it. All you can do is you're like, well, close enough. You know, my name is Nash Fung. You have a good night, my friend. Thank you so much. And not the ideal situation, because when you mess up a trick, you kind of want to have a backup trick to at least like make it oh my goodness, you know what? Yeah, to make it work, right? And maybe there's another one I can tell you that for a I can't tell you what company I did this for. Oh man! So I have a trick where I created where people in the audience would shake up soda cans. And there will be a 2-liter bottle on stage that I have opened. Someone tasted it, tested it, and all that, and seal it in a Ziploc bag. And I'll make those the soda cans shaken up in the audience, make those explosions disappear and reappear on this liter of soda.
Yeah.
Right. So the problem is that this one time I did the show, Not sure what the hell happened. When I have someone drink the soda and I close the cap and whatever, it exploded prematurely.
Someone snuck a Mento in there.
I have no I know what's wrong, but I'm just saying I have no idea what happened. So anyway, so it's basically the trick goes like that. I'm like, by the way, can I have your soda over here? And then you go, okay, awesome. Now go. All right, let's do a rope trick now. So that one time, I was like, no, what is going on? So thank God I had that was a finale too.
Wow.
That was the finale, so I have to just like on the spot go to my bag and just grab something out and make it happen. But you learn from these things, man. So I'm still doing these tricks in my shows, and I still find a way to refine them.
Yeah, that's a killer trick. I've seen you perform it, and the crowd goes crazy.
Thanks, man.
It's really good. And I saw just recently on your Instagram, you posted that you made an improvement on that trick, which I was like, wow, like it's like I saw you do that maybe 5 years ago, that West Seattle show.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, dude.
Something like that. You did
Oh,
that
man.
trick. I'm like, wow, here he is 5 years later, and he's just cracked a whole nother level on this thing. And like that fascinates me, like that constant revision of the work over the years. Could you talk a little bit about how you pick the tricks that you end up picking? There's so much to choose from. Like there's stage magic, there's close-up, there's mentalism, and you do a little bit of all that. But how do you figure out which tricks are right for you?
Oh, that. I mean, that's a long answer as well, but to keep it short, nowadays, the direction that I'm going at is I'm a keynote speaker that teaches people the things I learned. Like for example, like the mindset of continuous improvement, right? Continuous revision, right? That's something that can be applied to anything. So for me nowadays, I start with the message that I want to share with people. Like I want to tell you, not tell you, but share with you the value of asking more questions, right? Then I'll think of a trick that will fit that theme. Like what trick will teach you the value of, if I ask more questions, I can learn more, and I will never be stuck in status quo, you know. So that's how I start nowadays. I start with an idea or theme or message I want to share, and then find a trick that will visually support that.
That's really powerful.
Yep.
That's like a very artistic way of approaching it versus like a technical way. I feel like that's like leading with the message first.
Yeah. Different magicians, different ways too. So for me, that's how I like to do it.
I think that's really cool. And I mean, one of the things that I really admired about your full show when I saw it was how much you incorporated yourself into your entire show. Like it really feels like nobody else could do that show except for you. Like it's your show, which I think is like what every magician aims for.
Thanks, man. Wow.
So,
very good, man. Okay.
I think you do a great job with it.
Thanks for that.
All right, so here's a question for you. While we're kind of talking about the different types of magic that you can do, one big debate within the magician community, I guess, is like the different approaches to doing magic for kids versus doing magic for adults. And I was curious, like what's your in general kind of approach to the two different types of audiences, but also has that changed over the past few years since you've had kids, and how has having kids changed like the relationship between magic and children?
That, my friend, wow. Okay. I can tell you straight up right now that I'm not a strong kids performer. Like kids below the age of 8 is it's kind of hard for me to perform.
It's difficult.
It's very difficult, my friend. They just appreciate magic differently. For them, it's more about the atmosphere. It's more about the energy.
Yeah.
Right. Less about if you can fool them or not, because you can never fool a kid. Kids will always, I know that trick. Kids, no matter what you do, they'll always say, I know it, and it's
so
funny, you know.
Magic, at least in my experience, so much of magic with adults is setting up an expectation and then defying that expectation. But kids don't have those expectations yet. They're like, whatever happens, I'm ready for it.
I think you got it right, bro. Yeah, that's what's up, yo. So I don't do kids magic as much. For kids though, I would do more visually oriented magic into like mind reading, right?
Yeah.
And it's been a minute since the pandemic, but before then, I would do free shows for this nonprofit called Birthday Dreams, where they will host birthday parties for kids in homeless shelters. So I'll go there and just do a free show, and because I know I know there are a few tricks that I still work for kids, and I don't gotta be there for like half an hour. I can just be there, do like a 15-minute show, and still create some awesome memories for kids.
Totally.
So those are the kids show that I would do. If I got inquire for a show for kids that are below the age of 8, I'll probably pass to my friends who are amazing at doing kids magic, and I'll give it to like Nate Jester, who's great all around magician besides just kids. But Jeff Evans, and Evan, and it's a lot of great people. Yeah, there's great magic for that. Yeah.
I've really appreciated how, in at least the local magic community, I don't know how it is other places, but here it feels like the magic community is like really, I guess, supportive of one another. Like there's not like a very competitive kind of vibe. Like maybe you've experienced it more being someone who was trying to do it full time, but like for me, like it was always very supportive and very much like I felt very much an abundance mindset from like you were like one of the people who very much like when I first met you, I like looked up to you and was kind of like, wow, look at like what this guy's doing, but like you were always just like, yeah, let's hang out. Like you were always very open and accepting. I very much felt like that abundance mindset. Like if one of us succeeds, we all succeed.
Yeah, that's the best way to go. I feel like. I mean, I do have my competitive moments. I do. I mean, it's natural because if you're bidding for the same show, and if you let's say you lost it, right, then it will make you wonder like, what did I do wrong? How can I improve it? So that's what a competitiveness actually helps. But I feel like it's not a bad thing to be both supportive and also you can have the competitive the mentality, because that is what helps you and your friends also improve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
it's true.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with a little healthy competition.
No. I don't. I welcome that. I love it, to be honest with you.
Speaking of healthy competition, will you tell me all about your experience being on Fool Us?
Oh man, that is such an awesome memory. By far the best TV experience I have done because of how amazing they are for you. Like right at the beginning, the producer would tell you that we're not here to make magic look bad, right? They're not gonna buzz you or boo you off stage like other shows. You know what I mean? Their goal is to present magic in a good way. So that's great. I was like, I'm in, yo. Plus, I needed that national TV footage to up my price anyway. So that's why I was like, yes, put me in, coach. Put me in. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So I pitched them 2 tricks. The one of the trick that I created, I have a better feeling that it will do a better job, maybe fooling them than the other one. But they chose the other one because other people had done card trick already. So I'm like, that's fine. It's for me. It was a semi-business decision as well. I wanted to get that footage. So I'm like, whatever you say, producer, put me in, coach. So that was fun. Yeah. And from that, this is kind of funny too. And we were talking about competition, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it relates to that. Now, one of the reasons why it was such a best experience because that we were filming in second season, right? And at the time, I was trying to get into this college performance market, right? And there were a couple of magicians who were there already. We're friendly, but I never really get to know who they are. Yeah. We always see each other once every year, or 3 times a year in conferences to try to book shows, and we were competing. We were showcasing our acts, and then the students will hire whoever they like. So it's a very competitive market, right? But that show, that season, I think the producer have like probably scouts in these conferences, and they saw a bunch of us, and a lot of us college magicians got invited to film, and 2 of which one of my better friends magic now, Peter Bois and Norman Ng, and we actually get to know each other much better because we were rehearsing with each other for 3 days straight in a hotel room, just rehearsing. We watch each other's act. We want to make sure each other look good, So it really was one of the best experience from a friendship perspective, and I also got to film on a day with 2 of my closest magician friends, Coach Kimlad and also Ben Simon. So yeah, it's just a fun memories and great friends and friendship. That was worth more than anything, to be honest with you.
Sounds like such a cool experience.
It was. It was a friendship that I got out of it that I know it's gonna sound very cheesy, but it really is. It really is.
So they actually reached out to you. They saw you at the conference and they were like, "Hey, do you want to be on the show?" I assumed that you probably like went on the website and applied or something.
No, dude. Wow. They have TV shows have well, not scouts, but I'm losing my mind over here. What's the word for it? Talent agent, people who scouts, talent, right? And
I think that works.
Yeah, casting agent. Casting agent. Yeah. So the casting agent emailed me. And I later on actually asked him, like, "Hey, how do you find us?" He was like, "I don't remember. We actually reached out to a lot of people, but from just seeing the amount of college magician who was on season two, I'm like, yeah, I think you guys got it from there probably." So yeah, that's my guess actually. Yeah.
So since you're talking about doing the college shows, one of the things I wanted to ask was how your experience with different types of venues is. And if, like, I know you've done a lot of corporate shows, you've done house parties, you've done college shows. What are your favorite types of environments to do magic in? And do you have least favorite types?
Oh, I do.
I tried to do magic in a nightclub once, and it was so terrible.
Oh my goodness!
I was not prepared. It was so loud. It was so dark. It was the worst.
Bro, bless your soul for doing that. But you're tall and good looking, so that is a help right there. Me being short, and that's gonna work in nightclub. Yeah, my favorite ones. I do like big auditorium to feed my ego. When you see it, now yeah, big auditoriums, just the energy is different, man. And because people are seated closer to you, and they're always forward facing. Unlike like a corporate dinner when you have a round table, right? You're facing your friend, but the stage could be behind you, so it can be very hard to get people to do that. And unless it's after dinner, when the dinner's over, then totally fine. But the hardest thing is during dinner.
Yeah.
They put you during dinner, and sometimes they have to. That's a time limit. They have a lot of things they gotta cover, so that's the only spot you can do magic. I'm like, I'll do it. It's gonna be a challenge, But least favorite, man, that's a good question. I have even tried busking, bro, in the beginning of my career. Yeah, and that was hard.
It is hard.
It's so
whole
hard.
Another set of skills.
Oh, Nico, with your first guest, right? Probably can speak on that better than I do. He kills it. He's amazing.
And hanging out with him, like it really is such a different world than a lot of what we were doing, like here, like in corporate venues and house parties and stuff. Like you have an audience waiting for you. He has to like get his audience to stop. It's really a whole different skill set.
So much respect for buskers, man. Seriously.
All right. So I'm curious, how did COVID affect your work as a magician?
Gotcha.
Did you do some virtual events? How did you make it work?
Oh man, okay. So for the first 2 months, I was in the denial mode, like everybody is. March, like, what's kind of funny? Right around then, I was like picking up steam as a speaker. Right, I actually did my speaking engagement for an industry gathering. Right, that night was the night the governor came down and be like, "Tomorrow we're going to lockdown." I remember vividly because that was the same day, March 10th is today.
Really?
Yep, March 11th is my birthday.
Wow.
Tomorrow's birthday, by the way.
I did not realize that we were on an anniversary.
Yeah, dude. So my birthday was the day that the lockdown happened.
Also, happy basically birthday.
Yeah, man.
I didn't realize that was the case either, but happy birthday.
Cheers, everybody, cheers. Oh man, yeah. And yeah, so in the first 2 months, I was in denial. I was like, it's probably over by summer. Because remember the days, bro? Like, they say that the virus wouldn't survive in like hot weather. Wow, how off were we? Oh my goodness, they were thriving, man. Okay, so after like 2 months of not having shows, and then I started getting inquiries from like Google or other big companies that are looking for virtual. That's when I was like, you know what? If people are looking, I need to pivot. I need to definitely get into virtual, my friends. So I started doing virtual magic in May and it took probably until October until I have a solid client base. And from that point onward, though, it just actually blew up.
Really?
Yeah, last year was how do I say this? The best year I had in my career.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
Oh man, I feel bad saying that. Yeah, I don't talk about that often. I don't post online a lot about that. I didn't tell anybody online.
Well, it's really an accomplishment, especially with everything else going on, knowing that you had to adapt and then actually taking the steps to do that.
Yeah, but I'm just lucky, man. Like this is the reason why because I know other friends in like event industry, they lost their business. Like 20, 30-year business, they just like overnight is killed. That's why I just didn't want to tell people, that doing well.
Well, I'm really happy to hear that you did.
I'm happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I'm lucky. I'm just lucky. I'm just blessed, man. Like, hey, I'm blessed. So I'm lucky. So.
I'm curious if, doing magic in person is so much different than doing it in front of a camera.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious how much you changed your show and how much you adapted it, and also curious if that's related to why you decided to kind of step more towards keynote speaking as well, if that's related, or if you were planning to do that independently.
Independently, I've always wanted to be a speaker. To be honest with you, my first crazy idea is to be a speaker. Before I wanted to be a magician, I was in high school and I was in a first year in college. I saw a speaker who really motivated me. I was like, "This is incredible! Like, you're making changes in people's life. I want to do that." And then I got into magic. So now I'm coming back to it. But no, the question again is when I did virtual, right?
Yeah.
Did I change my material, right?
Yeah. How much did you have to adapt your show?
Luckily, I have magic where since I was in not too much, to be honest with you, not too much. There are definitely magic where I have to work the angle and I have to think about what tricks will relate better with people, right? But even before virtual, I've always had this mentality where my show, I want to make it as interactive as possible. And you know how a lot of magicians say their show is interactive, right?
Yeah.
That's like a very common phrase we use to describe our show, interactive. But one of my friends, Randy Shine, another amazing college magician, spoke to me one time. He was like, "Nash, wait, how is a show interactive though? Because if a magician only do magic with the volunteer they bring on stage, he's interacting with the volunteer, yeah, but the rest of the audience are passive audience. They're just watching. You're not interacting with them." So that sparked me. I was like, "Oh, you're right. Maybe I need to do more magic where everybody can actually participate from the comfort of their seat, like the soda can trick, where they can shake the soda can in the seat and all that." Yeah. So I have always been going in that direction even before the pandemic. So those magic translate perfectly in virtual because I can just have you follow along. You can be shaking your soda can at your home, and I can make those explosions appear in my bottle. So that really helped. And I was able to create a very hands-on virtual show where you're not just going to tune in to watch the screen of me do magic in my room, but instead it's you using the items at your home, follow along, and something magic is going to happen to the items in your hand. So I got lucky again from years of experience trying to build a show like that, and it translates so well to a virtual. So yeah.
Well, that explains why it's gone so well too, because that kind of just saying that, like, I can picture like how much more engaging that must be for people than just watching like a YouTube video, like it's a whole nother element.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
So you've been doing magic for what, 25 years?
25, yeah.
25 years. Wow.
Oh man, it's so old.
How often do you still stumble upon something that fools you?
All the time nowadays. Are you kidding me? Have you been on? Oh yeah. Oh yo, there's so many amazing magicians nowadays. It's on Instagram. I follow a lot of great magicians. I can go on all day about dropping names. There are like people. Have you watched this Coin Luden? I don't know if you saw him or not.
I haven't.
Oh, God, this sickest coin magician from Japan, and a lot of Korean cats are just killing it out there too. But yeah, anyway, I do see a lot of magic that still fool me. Yeah. And to be honest with you, man, I never learned how to do big illusions. I never learned them. Like how to saw a woman in half, those big illusions. I never learned it.
Yeah.
So any of the most basic illusion will just fry my brain. And I love it. Yeah.
That is fun. A few years ago when I kind of stopped performing magic as much, stopped doing the casino gigs, and it kind of became more of a hidden hobby, more of a secret thing I enjoy rather than something I was actively pursuing. Like I also kind of like stop trying to figure out the tricks, I guess. Like when I watch a magic show, like there's still like stuff that I just see through. Like I just know too much. I can't not see it, you know. But I've also like I used to be like in that mindset of like I gotta figure this out. Like when I'm watching now, I just like sit back and I love when I can't see through it now.
Nice.
It's something that's shifted the past couple of years for me. Let's see. Have you ever used magic outside of the context of a show? Like David Copperfield has his famous story where he like hid his wallet as he was getting robbed. Have you ever pulled anything like that off?
Oh, bro, let me try to think. Have I? Oh man, this guy sounds so juvenile. I don't know if I should even say it or not. This goes on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so people who are potential client of mine will see this, right?
If they look up Nash Fung and they find it, they might. Don't spoil anything too good.
All right. I just want to give preface it with the fact that I was 22-year-old. So I'm 39 tomorrow. So don't take it against me. This is 17 years ago. 17-year ago, Nash Fung is a little bit different from today's Nash Fung. You know the trick where you can make a full bottle of wine appear.
Yeah.
Right? Or about a fifth appear, right?
Yeah.
The same trick can be used to hide a full bottle of alcohol. So we were invited to a friend's company party, and you cannot be BYOB, obviously.
Yeah.
And I have the device that helped me conceal a whole damn bottle of alcohol. We were lit, my friend. We were lit at the party, my friend. So that's what happened when you use magic outside of magic. It's very, very, very bad. So I don't advise it.
That's pretty funny, though.
Oh, man.
One of the things I do love about magic is just all the absurd situations that you find yourself in that, like, the people around you are totally oblivious to, you know, when you are walking around, you know, and you have, a bottle shooter up your pants, or, you know, you have, like, a fireball shooter up your sleeve, and you're, like, trying not to set it off, you know, act casual.
Yeah,
that
dude.
That kind of stuff is really...
Oh, man.
Comes from.
Oh, my goodness. Why did I do that when I was young? Why did I do that?
Here's something I'm curious about. When I looked up your Fool Us performance, I wanted to rewatch it before this and refresh my memory. But I also saw that one of the top results when you look for it is a debunking video on YouTube.
Oh,
how do you
really?
feel about that? I mean, apparently you didn't know about it, but
debunk. I think I saw one way
I didn't
back
actually
when.
watch it, but I saw that it came up, and I was like, I wonder what Nash thinks about that.
I think the guy got like some of it right,
Yeah.
but the other part were wrong. But I mean, I don't care, man. You help me get more names out there.
Yeah.
Go for it. You know, hey, I don't mind that.
Yeah, that's the question. You know, is it like any publicity is good publicity, or is it like, oh man, why is he ruining the thing? But
nah, not really. I mean, honestly, like I said, this is the part where me as a professional magician who do it for a living helps, because I know that my clients are not going to look for that.
yeah, totally. The only person who's gonna look for that is the
Magician.
13-year-old kid who's getting really excited about magic. Just watch Fool Us and like, how did he do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's cool, man. I'm cool, and I appreciate that, because if you spend that much time to make a video to debunk my magic, that means you were engaged. That means you actually were tuned in to see what I do. I appreciate your time. Thank you. So that's okay, and yeah, totally fine with that.
Do you think that there are any misconceptions about magicians in general?
Back then, probably, but now not nowadays. I feel like magic has been pretty cool pop art the last couple of years. People are not more familiar with it thanks to like HET, obviously, and TV shows. And because way, I remember, oh my goodness, way back when I first started, my friend Ruben Barone would even say that, do not build yourself as a magician, build yourself as an entertainer, because magician has kind of a negative connotation. People think you just do kids show, like you just you do magic, right? Well, I got a kid's birthday party coming up, and I'm like, I'm not good at that though, So, other misconceptions, I don't know. Have you heard any misconception about magician?
I mean, what comes to my mind is just like the kind of way they're often portrayed in pop culture. There tends to be like a portrayal of magicians as like it's like the loser kid in the corner, which a lot of us were, and a lot of us
I was
use magic to
shoot.
like to kind of get out of the corner. but also in my experience, like hanging out with the magic community, it was very social. It was like very very much like a lot of good, pretty social, outgoing people. So it's not really in line with my personal experience. I always thought magicians were great people, but they're kind of portrayed as a little weird in pop culture.
Yeah. I mean, in that case, sometimes it can be. I mean, everybody. I mean, you find oh my goodness, lose my word again. There are people who are outgoing, and there are people who are the opposite of outgoing is introverted. English is my second language, that way. I came here as I was 14. I just wanted to know that very clearly. Introverted people in every art you study. So yeah, I don't think that's true at all. So
I agree.
Yeah.
So I want to transition a little bit into your keynote speaking stuff, because it seems like you're kind of heading in that direction. And I saw that you were talking about curiosity being the theme of kind of your first things. So I'm curious, what makes you so inspired by curiosity?
Oh man, because curiosity is the driving force behind every great things that you had experienced in your life. I wouldn't be here right now if you were not curious about doing a podcast, right? You have to. The thing is what I see is human beings tend to fall into a pattern. Like there's a comfort level when it comes to waking up every day, like. You either snooze or don't snooze, right? Or you either have breakfast or you don't have breakfast. You go into a pattern, right? Yeah. And because there's comfort to know that you will get the same result, right? But then again, sometimes you gotta snap out of it and be curious to kind of peek behind the curtain, like, yeah, what else? What else can be there, right? So I think it's that idea of not settling for what you are used to, but always be open-minded and be curious about what else can be possible is the driving force for people to find continual success. I believe that.
When you do your keynote events, do you still like slide in a magic trick here and there, or do you keep it like, yeah?
I use magic. I 100% use magic that will support a message, like I said. So I'll do a trick, and then I would tell a personal story, and then I would tell the point I try to make, which relates to the story, which relates to the trick. Because human beings do not want to be told something. They want to be able to learn something through experience, right? So magic is just one of those things that snap them out of their everyday mode and pique the curiosity and really teach them a lesson through exercise. Yeah, really through experience. So yeah.
So one of my final questions here, I got a couple kind of final ones, but sure. The beginning of the final questions is, if you were to give advice to any like younger up and coming artists / magicians / entertainers who are trying to figure out how they can make that a bigger part of their lives, what sort of advice would you give?
Bigger part of their lives as in like as a professional, or
yeah. I mean, if somebody's trying to actually like turn their passion into a career the way you've done, what sort of advice would you give?
Oh man, okay. I can only tell you what I have experienced, right? So if you do have a passion that you know this is the jam, I'm going for it, right? I think network is important. I wouldn't be here now if not for people like I said, Tobias, who saw me online and then introduced me to other magician, which opened doors, right? Meeting people open you more doors than ever, and also they can help you grow. Period, right? So first of all, you gotta have a competent level at what you do first. You do. I do feel that way. But don't be afraid to get yourself out there, because even if you're not good enough yet, if you just try to get out there, like your first show that you totally messed up, right? Like but afterwards though, that you learn, oh, that angle's not gonna work. You learn, oh, that kid is gonna have to have a different way to perform for, right? So don't be afraid to try neither. Yeah, and because through that you can learn so much more, right? And last is, but it's no last, is continuous. Get a good web presence, because nowadays I think like video marketing and web presence is gonna be important. In terms of business, right? There are only two ways to get clients: either you find the clients or the clients find you, right? Yeah. So in the beginning, when you don't have a lot of capital, you can only use time, right? So use those time to do outreach, which can be hard. But the other thing is find out where your clients find entertainment or your art, right? And be present in those areas. For example, like Google or YouTube, or social media. So that's the marketing point of view of that. Otherwise, what else would be helpful besides networking, marketing? Yeah, those are the big like hands-on advice I can give you.
I think a lot of creative people don't realize how much work goes into like turning their passion into a job. Is you want it to be the fun part the whole time, but yeah, a lot of it is figuring out how to get the business side of things going too, and how to market and how to have a website set up and that kind of stuff.
I'm still learning too, to be honest with you. To be honest with you, I had never hired anyone on my team. I never did. I would, as a solopreneur, right? I would like do my own website. I would, do my own marketing, do my own email, right? And that is actually can sometimes, if you're a solopreneur, like if you know what you're not good at, you need to source out. That's another tip I can give you. If you have the capital, source out. Like if you're not good at doing outreach, I just hired 2 virtual assistants to help me do it, because I'm not good at hunting down conferences, hunting down speakers, bookers, and sorry, I'm good at that, but it takes so much time. It takes so much time to do that. If you want to grow your business exponentially faster, then hire 2 people who can clone yourself and do what you do. And that's another tip that I'm learning now from other more successful business owners and magician and entertainer who taught me that.
Figuring out how to delegate is tough. We're trying to figure that out with Rainworks right now.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
Y'all so good. I love your idea, man. Speaking of which, is why I also mutual respect for what y'all do. Mutual respect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So the theme of this show, I've done a really terrible job up to this point of incorporating into the actual interviews, but I'm going to try this time, which is the theme of the show is search for meaning. This project kind of grew out of like the slum of the pandemic and then trying to figure out like what's still meaningful in the world, And I've done a terrible job of actually conveying that in the interviews, but I want to ask you, why do you think magic is meaningful?
Why do I feel magic is meaningful? Okay. The first thing that pops into my head right away is it does leave a pretty unique memory for the person who saw it, and you just never know how that memory can impact their lives. And I have had I can tell you 2 personal stories probably, and I'll try to keep it short too, because I know it's going long right now. But personally, I've always felt the first time that I expressed my love for magic, right? I want to go to a magic shop to learn something, right? I remember my father was there with me, but he was not very supportive, I would say, because I think that he has always been a corporate kind of guy. He's a climb a corporate ladder kind of person. That's why I'm different. I always feel like your son or your child is going to be totally different than what you do. So my child's probably going to be CEO. I have no idea. But yeah, I think he was afraid that this might not be a prestigious job, because back in the days, in Asian culture, showman is not like a prestigious job, right? So, and he was afraid that I'll be like that guy who was selling magic kits in the mall in my 30s. Yeah. Which is, it comes from a place of love and a place of worry, right? But then again, that guy who sold magic at the mall was the reason why I'm doing what I love today. If not for that guy, I wouldn't be here, right? So you never know like what kind of memory you can create and how it can impact other people's lives, right? Yeah. And another thing I don't know if I did this at the show or not, where I told you a story where one time I was booked to do a show, just tableside magic, right? And there was an elderly gentleman and his son, and he was like, "Hey, please, can you show my dad some magic? He loves magic, right? But thing is, he's getting up there, he can't really hear, so you gotta talk a little slower because I'm so fast, right? And be a little slower, right? So I just did a couple of quick coin tricks. I didn't think much of it, and it wasn't until a week later when the client who booked me told me a story that I'll never forget. The guy and the elderly gentleman were his family friends actually, and the elderly gentleman had Alzheimer's disease, so he has forgotten a lot about his life, and communication between him and his son was very, very hard. But unbeknownst to me, when they were younger, that guy would take his son to see magic shows. Those are like their special father and son bonding moments. Wow. And something about seeing magic that night, it triggered something in that guy's brain, and he started remembering some of those old memories that he had forgotten, and he was reminiscing with his son for like a whole week. Wow. About them, and his son was so happy he has that 1 week of connection.
And that's beautiful.
Yeah,
that sent shivers up my spine when you said it.
Yeah, so yeah, you just never know what a simple coin trick, a simple magic kit can really have an impact on people. That's why I think magic is meaningful, because it leaves a memory, and at the end of the day, all we have are just memories, man. So yeah,
it's a great answer.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you feel like I missed or that you wish you had gotten the chance to talk about?
Man, you throw at me like this all of a sudden, man. I can't think that fast on my feet, man. I don't know. If the theme is search for meaning, right?
That's the overall show theme, but if this one's focused on magic, kind of.
Okay, on magic, kind of. I'm kind of curious. Like, what are some of the most common answer you have on your show? Like, well, your top 3.
So that's kind of what I meant by I haven't done a good job of tying it together. Is you're the first person I've remembered to ask that question to.
Yo, for real? Oh, man.
And so the search for meaning thing has kind of been like an intangible kind of theme up until this point. But I was kind of thinking I should try to do a better job of weaving that into the conversation. So
that's okay.
You were my first example of that being done.
No problem. No problem. And we have to edit this and do a different question.
No.
It's totally fine too, bro.
No, it's totally part of the thing.
Okay,
it's interesting having these different conversations with different people and seeing how the conversation flows in different ways. And there's certain people who you talk to and they just like you ask them one question, they go off on the mic and they just like know what they're gonna say, and I'm like, wow, they answered 4 of my other questions. And there's other people where you ask them something and you got to really kind of pry the answer out of them, and. Just kind of I think different with you as well, just because we do know each other, we've hung out and stuff before. It creates more of a casual atmosphere, but I think that's all right.
All right.
The show's all about trying out different things and seeing what works.
Yeah, man. Cool.
So to end, is there any plugs you want to give? You want to tell people where they can find you if they need to book a magician, or if they want to find your stuff on TikTok or whatnot?
TikTok, my man. Oh man, I'm trying to get more traction on that. Yeah, I'm just at Nash Fung on a lot of my social media.
Cool.
And on IG, you can see me do some magic with my daughter. She's getting a fun age right now. And if you plug myself, is
your daughter like magic? Is she gonna carry the torch?
Probably not. Knowing how kids are always different,
I remember when my little sister was born, like right when I was getting into magic, I was like, teenager. She was just a little kid, and I would always try to show her what I was learning on. And it grew in her a sense of very much disinterest in magic.
Oh, yeah, dude.
By the time she was like 6 years old, she'd already seen how half the stuff works. And she's like, this isn't new or interesting.
Same with my sister. Too. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, if you know any association conferences who want to book a keynote speaker that can help people to become more innovative and more curious, and with a touch of magic to make it fun. I am your guy, yay! Oh, wait, camera, I am your guy, yay! Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, man. This has really been great.
No doubt. Woo!
Thank you.
All right.
Everyone in the bag.
Yay!
Okay, I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Nash is such a good guy, and I had such a good time having him sit down and just chatting about magic with him. If you had a good time watching it, hit the thumbs up button and let us know. Subscribe to the channel to see more, and maybe check out my previous video where I interviewed another magician friend of mine and asked him about his experience with street performing. So yeah, check that out if you're interested. That's all for now. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.